Hello and welcome to the Three Tenths Up podcast for the Portuguese Grand Prix of 2021. I'm Raz, we've got Toms and Greg, and no Andrew this time, so we're just going to be us three. Hopefully Andrew will be back with us next time out in Spain.
Or Pain.
So, Pain, yeah, the S is silent.
I'm back.
Okay, cool. Right, so, gentlemen, let's get into this. Portuguese Grand Prix 2021. How was it? Can we start with you, Toms? What do you make of it?
Well, it's funny. It's like after yesterday's qualifying, when I saw Hulk get on the pole position, and I thought, okay, how's the race going to pan out? It panned out exactly the same way I kind of envisioned it happening. I predicted Walter's going to stay in the lead. Around lap 20, he's going to fall off. Hamilton's going to take the win. Walter's going to drop off. And I kid you not, I said it because this happened last year, I think, the same in Portugal and Nürburgring. He gets out into the...
No, well, last year Portugal, remember, they had a bigger DRS.
Yeah, but even with that, I predicted Hamilton's going to get him around lap 20. Then the question is Max going to be able to stay with the Mercedes and then get ahead of Mercedes? He did get ahead of one Mercedes, and I think that was a pretty good move of the turn 5 after the pit stops. But actually, this felt really like 2020. Typical Mercedes are the faster cars. Typical Mercedes win. The whole argument about Red Bulls are faster, no, they're not. Today they're not. They were not faster today. Mercedes had the faster car. They were supposed to win, and they won it. There's no question about that whatsoever.
Okay. Let's hear the opposite. Sorry, Greg.
Mercedes had one better driver today, not a faster car.
That's
the issue today was the tire choice.
No, Red Bulls weren't fast.
Tire choice. No. The difference today was strategy. They won on strategy, on tire choice, and skill. From one driver. That was the game. They did not have a fast car.
Okay.
It was, but anyway. Yeah.
Okay. No, anyways, we'll agree to disagree on it. I was just going to add in on that. Mercedes technically didn't have the faster car, but they were the more consistent team. Yeah.
You gotta do that every lap.
Well, one driver in particular was showing up more than all the others. And to be honest, I think it's going to play out a bit more like this. I mean, given that on paper, you could say, if you really look into the mini sectors and be all nerdy about it, you could say, yeah, Red Bull are faster, so technically Mercedes aren't lying as we all do. But the thing that annoys me among everyone else is, Lewis Hamilton, are you trying to get a BAFTA or something? Because I know Romain Grosjean is getting a BAFTA for his fiery incident in Bahrain last year, but come on, man. Who the hell are you kidding? My tires, they're shot, and then sets fastest lap. Yeah,
but tires were grading at that time. You can see it all on camera. It was on camera. You can see it. You can see it on camera.
But the thing is,
they came back.
If you would have listened to what Pirelli said, right? And basically, they knew that there was going to be this graining phase, okay, that everyone had to go through. So essentially, you had to get through that graining bit, and then once it's over, boom, 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 fastest lap. And but going back to the run-of-the-mill 2020 type result, I've got a bit of a confession to make here. I never watched last year's race at Portugal.
Well, you didn't miss much.
All I saw was literally lights out, Kimi Räikkönen making up a bazillion places, and then, I don't know, for some reason, I was just like, right, switched off, right, literally. And then, lo and behold, someone messages me saying, oh, it's a Mercedes 1-2.
Well, regardless, this race, though, for this race,
sorry.
definitely,
Did,
consistency matters huge. This was definitely a driver's race. Because the elements is what played the game. It was the elements. You had to manage the wind, you had to manage the tire temperatures, and this literally came down to throttle application, patience, skill, mental toughness, because that's where Valtteri fell off. Right? You're too worried about what's coming on behind him. And listen, it's, you know what? This kind of happened last week as well. Because what people forget about that incident before George Russell came up on Valtteri Bottas was that he just finished getting lapped by Lewis.
yes.
And then he got lapped by the Red Bull. Fuck, are we 5 minutes in? Anyway, he was already he was already in his head. He was already in his head in that game. When he saw Russell coming up with the Williams, there was no way in hell. He was going to say to himself,
that's my seat. That's my seat. Right.
No way that's going to happen. Valtteri's got a mental. He's got to.
Speaking of this, and I think that I was chatting to a colleague of mine immediately after the race, and he said to me something that I think we all kind of know, but I think it's official now. That he said that the door for Valtteri escaping the sort of number 2 driver label has been shut forever.
Yeah.
And my argument is like, people say, well, look at how Hamilton got ahead of Valtteri and how he convincingly beat him again. For me, as much as I think Hamilton was brilliant today, as much as I think that he deserved this race and he deserves to be 8 points ahead in the championship because he's been that good, apart from Imola, which of course he didn't win. As much as all of that is true, for me, when somebody says, well, he got ahead of Valtteri, for me, getting ahead of, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but for me, getting ahead of Valtteri doesn't really have that much of a bite. If his teammate is Verstappen, Leclerc, Gasly, freaking Sainz or someone like that, it's one thing.
Bring the old guy in there, Alonso.
Well, even Alonso, exactly.
Alonso, for sure.
Yeah, by the way, we'll talk about him. He wasn't that bad today.
Yeah. We'll run down the grid. We'll do a quick rundown.
My point is like, so he overtook Valtteri. Yeah, so I mean, he's
So what?
Valtteri, and you know, again, I don't want to be disrespectful to him because obviously it's not like he's a horrible driver, but you know, his race pace, his tire management, his racecraft, subpar, period.
Tire management.
Tire management, precisely.
Tire management. That's what it came down to.
And it's
really.
happened many times. The same Portugal last year, he was ahead, he got done, you know. So I wish that, you know, we really have to, as an F1 community, we really have to consider the status of Valtteri Bottas because he is just not good enough. He's just not. He's not supposed to be driving for a top 2 team.
No,
sorry.
I wouldn't say not good enough.
Well, for that top 2 level, I think.
Oh right, yeah. For that level, yeah. I mean,
he's good enough to be in the Formula 1 game, of course.
For sure.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
So,
I mean, that requires.
Yeah, but if he was in a midfield team, I think he would be a valuable asset. But
if he was in a midfield team, he would probably kick ass.
Yeah.
That's what he did in Williams, remember?
He
would. You know.
And you know, when he was appointed, of course, I was pissed because for me, Pascal Wehrlein was the guy. I was a big fan of his, and I was pissed off that he got passed over. But you know,
he was Mercedes' reserve driver anyway, and he was Mercedes'
and I am still a bit salty
and he was
about
DTM
that.
champion. Anyway,
he should have been Ocon. He should have been with Ocon this year. Like Ocon should have that seat.
Or Pascal.
Now Mercedes have a problem of doing the opposite of Red Bull, right? Red Bull promote their drivers. They give them a chance. If they make it, good. If they don't,
but here's the
out.
thing: Red Bull do it sometimes. They're kind of
okay. It's a bit aggressive.
It's like Red Bull do it too much, and Mercedes do it too little. You know what I'm saying? Mercedes don't do it at all.
Polar opposite.
Mercedes doesn't do it at all. Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Mercedes basically, if you're a young driver and you want your career to end before it starts,
go to Mercedes.
Right? Mercedes.
Well, you know what?
Yes,
though,
exactly.
You know what, though? Here's the thing though about that. Let's throw this into the mix. I'm going to disagree with that point. Only for this one fact is that If there was no Lewis Hamilton, they would have gone through way more drivers in the development program than they have.
Well,
he's been there.
Well,
look how long he's been with the team. Look how many times other drivers have been rotated out of teams. Lewis has been there a long, long time.
But Greg, I would say, yeah. You're not. I don't disagree with that. What I would say is
no. The thing is, there was an open seat next to Lewis when Rosberg called it quits.
And then the question,
and they literally had two drivers racing for Manor, right? You know, who at that time Manor basically folded. You know, they literally had two drivers sat there, both of them on Mercedes payroll, and
even
they got passed over.
No.
Yeah, they got passed over.
Bottas was a Mercedes driver.
No, he was a Williams driver. No, he was just a Williams driver.
He was managed by Mick Hakkinen. Yep.
He wasn't a Mercedes. No.
No.
He wasn't.
Ocon is Toto's guy, actually.
Yeah, exactly. He's the one that got sidelined, you know, and he was at Manor. Both of the Manor team was basically the equivalent of Toro Rosso to Red Bull.
Yeah.
To Mercedes.
So what it comes down to is why did they have to make that decision for Bottas over Ocon? That's the question. That's what we don't know.
Well, I think we do. Yeah. My version is that they were trying, because they had just gone over through all the drama with Lewis versus Nico and everything that went around with it. So I in my opinion, I think, and I think this will tie into the decision with regards to George Russell as well. They went for a guy who, granted, he was more experienced than Ocon and Pascal Wehrlein, also knew that he was somebody who is going to be of a more agreeable personality. And I think Toto made a decision that he doesn't want to get all of the top, like two alpha dogs in the team anymore. He wanted to make he wanted a more manageable team, and Bottas fit that description perfectly.
I don't know about that.
And remember, it wasn't just Toto.
Hold on one second. Let's go back to that year before they made that decision, when Bottas was at Williams, slaughtering that place. When he was with Williams was like third in the championships because of him. That was the logical choice to make at that time. Like, I would have made that choice. Because if he's kicking ass in the Williams in a third, I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, if I put this guy in my car, what the fuck, we're going to be untouchable.
Well, but Greg, right? You can say this, okay, so Pascal Wehrlein was in a super backmarker of a Manor, and he got points with that trash. He did it in a trashy ass car.
He did.
He got
in Austria.
Exactly. He got points in that Austria car. He was integrated into that team as a junior, as a reserve driver. He had done many tests with the Mercedes car. The case could,
but he wasn't good. That's the case that was made.
How can he not be good if he gets a point with Manor, dude?
Dude, every day a dog shines on an ass once every once in a while. He got very fortunate. And I'm not saying he's shit. Don't get me wrong.
All right.
I'm not saying he's not a good driver. What I'm saying is...
I'm going to stop...
Be very careful what you say about NASCAR.
I'm going to stop the both of you.
I'm not saying he's not a champion driver. Please don't misunderstand me.
Literally going to say that he won the DTM championship, right?
Come on, man. It's four-wheel drive. This is not the same. This is not the same.
DTM is not four-wheel drive.
Not four-wheel drive. Sorry, not four-wheel drive.
My goodness.
It's not the same, man. It's not open wheel. It's not the same.
Oh, DTM is a lot more competitive. Trust me, mate, right?
Listen, man. They can do data. Listen, man. They can do data. They can do data tracing. All the analysis. They can decide who's a better driver based on the data sheets alone. You can tell based on consistency. Based on consistency points, when you're exiting, how you really coming out of the corner. I can look at it. I can glance at it. Actually, I don't need the sheet on the track. You can tell by how. You can tell by how. You can tell by listening to the engine who's a better driver.
Can I interrupt you right there, because I've got something to reveal to you, right? 2014 Abu Dhabi post-race test. Okay, I was actually with Mercedes in their garage, okay, when Pascal Wehrlein was testing the 2014 all-conquering Mercedes with the team, okay. I was with their social media guy and everything. I was inside the garage watching the data traces and everything like that, watching the programs, and I even asked, it's like, okay, what's this thing showing here? And basically they said, okay, this is the we're doing a race run, okay? And these are Lewis Hamilton's lap times. These are Nico Rosberg's lap times. And these are Pascal Wehrlein's lap times. Guess what? He was right there. He was right there, right? In the same car, same track, same tires, same condition. Well, actually, no, not same conditions because the testing was done during the day when it's hotter, right? And he was consistent. He was consistent as hell, right? I saw the lap times myself.
And Raz,
anyways, but we're going right off topic here now. We need to talk about the Portuguese Grand Prix.
Yes.
Obviously,
let's keep it in the present.
Let's keep it back to where it should.
Bottas is not good enough.
Because
end of story.
Yeah, but point is, all right. I'm gonna sum it up because I saw this brilliant conclusions from the race tweet by someone. I'm not gonna mention who it was, but basically it's conclusions from the race. Merck and Red Bull will be in a different race. Will be different race to race. Okay. Bottas is woeful, genuinely horrific.
Yep.
Verstappen did what he could do. Perez is pretty good. Mick is GOAT.
Yes.
Right. Aston Martin, LMAO. Yes. Right. And then at the end, I don't know who this is a reference to, but at the end it says egg.
Huh?
What?
It says
egg.
Egg?
I suppose egg is Nikita Mazepin, but this person is just taking the piss because he's got a bit of an egghead.
I
don't know. I'll read you guys the tweet, but essentially, this guy summed it up in one tweet that what's gonna happen. And to be honest, he's right.
Yeah.
There are gonna be races where Red Bull are gonna be much better. There are gonna be races where Mercedes are gonna be much better.
Yes.
But I think the championship, mainly the constructors' championship, is gonna be decided on the second driver of the team.
Yeah.
Because we saw what Perez could do with tires, right? He's
brilliant.
the tire whisperer. You're right, yeah. So he could make. I generally think if Mercedes don't win the constructors, or if they just win it by like a point or two, right? It will say a lot about their second driver than anything.
That's true.
Well, that has been, I think that's been like the reason, like with
that's going to be the one thing to look forward to this year.
If both Red Bull drivers beat Bottas, which is highly likely this season.
Yeah.
Right? And it's also likely that Norris becomes uncomfortably close to Bottas' finishing number.
Yes.
That's
going to be a huge challenge. That's the writing will be all over the wall at that point. And it's not on the wall now. But
here's the thing, right? Remember, Bottas and Lewis, both their contracts are only 1 year, right? Whether they extend, Lewis is pretty much going to get extended anyway. We know that, right? That's
unless he does completely doesn't want it anymore. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, point is, it's like, okay, you got both drivers up for renewal.
Russell as well. Russell's out of contract.
All right, you got all three drivers up for renewal, right? Yeah. Lewis is a given, okay? Let's just say that for now, right? Lewis, he ain't going anyway, right? Unless, of course, he does a Rosberg and quits on his own terms, fine, right? You can't do anything there. Bottas, right, I'm pretty sure it will get to, say, Spa, because usually they renew contracts over the summer.
Yeah, like Hungary, Spa. Yeah,
between Hungary and Spa, if we don't hear any news about Bottas's contract being, anything, extended or whatever, shit.
Oh, but like today, for example, there was no excuse whatsoever for Mercedes not to get a 1-2. They had to get it.
Oh, God, no.
They were in position to get it. They had to get it.
I don't know.
I mean, okay, what happened? All right, let's go through the race.
Before we do that, really quick, let's just give Bottas a little bit of a blind because he did have some technical challenges.
Fuck that. That was later on.
Right, but we don't know when it actually began. We don't know when those actually started to affect the performance. And when you're talking about 1/10 and half a tenth per lap, that little blurb in engine performance really matters.
Right?
Excuse me, Greg. Before that happened, right? He he cocked it up into
turn 3. Exactly.
Turn 3, yes,
what I was going to
exactly.
say. He comes out of the
literally opened the door for him, and then turn 4 is the DRS down to turn 5. Boom. That slam dunk, Max. And then Max started to pull away from him.
That's the thing. That's the problem.
This is what I'm saying. And this is what I'm saying. You know, if you give up track position the way he did, because he comes out to the pit stops, Max went for the undercut, Bottas stays out, and he comes out comfortably ahead of Max Verstappen. And then he messes up in turn 2, 3, 4, and then Max is ahead. That was not supposed to happen. That could have been avoidable. Period.
But it could have been a win.
No, it wasn't. It was cold tires. He didn't manage the tires. I know what you're saying.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, if there was a win, it would have impacted Max as well. Go ahead, Max as well.
And not only that, that was the lowest point on the track as well. Yep. The wind was at turn 13, which is the highest point.
Yep.
Right. But anyways, or 12 and 13, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Anyways, Right. So that's enough of the. All right. So, shall we move on?
Yes.
Perez.
Brilliant.
Okay, we've beat the donkey enough, right? You know, that kind of thing. Perez, Red Bull, they just had finally, I'd say finally, Red Bull have now got some flexibility with strategy now. Because last year, year before, that it must have been like the fact that I don't know if you guys were seeing it on the thing that they said, okay, 10 target plus 10 laps, okay. The fact that he could actually easily do 10 laps, and then it was getting to a point like, okay, these tires are crying enough now, right? And then it was like, okay, fine, no problems. We'll come in at lap 9, right, above target. And then it was like, right, okay, off you go. And it was just the first time Red Bull were able to do it, right, in what feels like forever. I mean, when was the last time they had 2 drivers up?
Well, 18.
When Mark Webber.
Sir? Yeah, Weber, but Perez is a beast.
Guys. Yeah, Webber.
Well, Ricardo and Max Verstappen were there.
No, but no. I mean, when was the last time they didn't crash into each other? Right. Right.
Well, that happened with Weber as well and Vettel, but.
Guys, I think honestly, I'm gonna say Perez is gonna beat him this year. He's gonna beat him this year. He's gonna beat Verstappen. Sorry, he's gonna beat Verstappen.
I don't think he will, but whatever. I think that. Perez was good today, but to be quite honest with John,
Perez did his job.
Here's the thing: with all that being said, and he did manage the tires well. It's not like it did much to impact Mercedes race. I mean, he just went really long on that first stint. To me, and this is coming from a Nico Rosberg fan, I thought that Lewis Hamilton deserved to be driver of the day more than Perez did, frankly. Because Perez, as good as he was, like I said, it's one thing to go long. But if you go long, the perception usually is that you're going to mess up the other team's top guy. He didn't do any of that. He wasn't able to do any of that today. So the fact that he went 51 laps on the first stint, impressive, no problem. But he's still P4. He didn't get the fastest lap till the end. And to me, he had a less impressive race, first of all, than his teammate. His teammate was a lot more impressive today. And Hamilton was more impressive overall as in the whole of the field, right? So I was a bit puzzled by not that he's undeserving completely of it, but I don't think he was the driver of the day per se.
I agree.
No, I think it just came to everyone as a bit of a surprise that wow, a second Red Bull up there, right? I think that's what caught everyone as to like. He deserves driver of the day just for actually delivering on what the second... Because that whole thing about the second Red Bull seat is cursed and blah-de-blah and all the rest of it. Right? He basically broke that curse today by actually finishing...
But, there's plenty of time for Red Bull to ruin his season. Okay, there's plenty of time.
But the thing is... No, regardless of that, I get why people... Because the thing is, it's an open vote. Apparently, there was a rumor... Right, that Mazepin had one driver.
Really?
Because F1, because you know how quickly they show driver of the day after right away. They didn't, and then apparently because they didn't do it straight away like they usually do, you see the little graphic pop up. there's this wild rumor came out, and then it went all over, the internet. It's like, what Mazepin? How? Right? Was it Russian bots or something like that? Right?
No, but
it's rigged.
But look,
right?
but I think it's actually quite possible that someday, some dudes will just make a movement and they'll start hot dogging around and just make a rig a vote like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Remember when it was Rio Haryanto?
Yeah.
There was that as well. So, and there was basically the whole of Indonesia basically just voted for him.
So how was
essentially sorry.
No, I was gonna say about Verstappen's race.
Well, he apart from the mistake that allowed Hamilton to overtake him, and by the way, I think it was clear that Mercedes on the straight line were faster than the Honda. It was absolutely obvious.
Oh yeah.
I think that
the fact
if
he just didn't have enough power.
Yeah, and I think that this is not a track where it's impossible to overtake. So I think without that mistake, okay, 3-4 maybe extra laps, but Hamilton would have gotten by Verstappen anyway. He would. I have no doubts about that whatsoever, because the car on the straight line was working a lot better. Even when Hamilton was ahead of Valtteri and he was starting to build the gap, and you remember Verstappen was chasing down Valtteri, and he was always 6/10, 7/10 in the slipstream, in the DRS. Just couldn't get.
He just didn't have long enough DRS, though. That's what it was. Yeah,
couldn't
yeah. They couldn't. Yeah.
They didn't have the straight line speed. So obviously the mistake that Verstappen made helped Lewis, but I think it just brought about the inevitable in a closer time period. I think it would have happened anyway.
Well, the thing about the straight line speed is that the differential of speed has to be so much greater at this track to make that much of an effect.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that the Mercedes had that much more straight line speed. Because if it was the other way around and, Verstappen could keep the rear wheels gripped, then we would have saw a different result.
Right? But it was enough of it.
The Mercedes did the Mercedes did not have enough of a speed differential to gain on a Red Bull if they were in the lead. The challenge was that the Red Bull couldn't keep a consistent lap together over and over and over again.
No. Not only that, but this year they reduced the DRS zone by 120 meters because last year
it was still powerful.
Apparently, I never watched last year, but last year was too powerful. So if they would have reduced it by 60 meters, I think that would have made it a bit more of a fight, rather than 120 meters. I don't know how they work these out, but obviously with this year's cars being a bit of a carryover. In a straight line, it's a straight line. Yes, sure, they got a bit less downforce, but we're all seeing that it's not really that much of a difference. What was the fastest lap last year compared to this year?
Well, there was a rumor, and I don't know if it's a rumor, but there was already talks, and it was mentioned during the commentary, I think, in one of the FP, I think it was FP2, when dudes were talking about how the 10% of downforce that was approximately lost over the winter, there are teams, and I'm assuming they're talking about the top teams, that they had already regained that.
Yeah.
So,
I heard that.
So
yeah.
I think,
I heard that too.
So I think Verstappen, I think P2 actually, given all the circumstances.
Well, the thing is,
given all the circumstances,
He drove well.
I think
he
was good. He was good. He was good.
He was good. I will say this.
He did drive really well, but
Verstappen has to know right now what he's
Verstappen has to know.
I'm going to say this.
I'm going to say this. Last year,
Verstappen would firmly if he was in an equal car,
that if he was in an
that he
equal
would
car,
beat Lewis. And I don't think he believes that anymore.
and I don't think he believes that anymore.
You're right.
It's an impossible scenario because you'll never find that out.
Watching it.
No.
Well, it's not
The
the
thing
same
is,
car. Well, it's not the same
All right,
car.
you know what Red Bull have officially said after this whole thing, right? Well, Christian Horner is basically saying this championship is going to be a marathon and not a sprint. So that basically means they need to pick their battles and pick them well.
That's true.
Okay, because they know they're not going to win them all, right? But as long as they can win the ones they're supposed to win and get a few lucky ones on top of that, we got a fucking
Well, but
championship.
on top of that,
Max has basically said, this was the best I could
Well,
do.
But here's the thing, Raz. Here's the thing, Raz. Here's the quick point. No, they should have won Bahrain more than they should have won Bahrain more than
they should have won
Bahrain. But what I will say in defense is that if you're not going to win, you better finish P2, and he's done it. And he's done it both occasions. So for him, he doesn't even have to win. Every race. He doesn't have to win every race. He doesn't have to win as much. Hamilton can win more races, but if he's more inconsistent throughout the year, then Hamilton's still going to get it. So if Max cannot win, but he can get P2, well, you know what? Let's go to Barcelona next, and forget about this. It's not a horrible. He started P3, he got to P2, and Hamilton overall, I do think the Mercedes car today was working better. Yes, the driver did an incredible job, but Mercedes were supposed to win, and they won the race. Verstappen got P2, damage limitation. So it's not a horrible scenario. P4, P5,
and then they tried to limit the damage even more with the fastest lap as well, which turn 14 and everything. Funnily enough, it was turn 14 that screwed him up in the beginning anyway.
Yeah.
When Hamilton overtook him.
Well, he wasn't bulletproof.
Cost him.
He that mistake before Lewis overtook, and now that last lap, he should have kept it on the track. These are the kind of things that This is where I will agree with Greg. 2 mistakes, 1 too much, I would say.
That's right.
That's right. You can afford one of them, and like I said, he would have been overtaken by Lewis anyway. I'm sure of that. The fastest lap point, you could have gotten that one.
Could have gotten it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
Okay, so moving on. Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc.
Lando,
two of my favorites, man.
And let's just do all 4 of them, shall we? Because we've done the top 4.
Yeah.
Let's do the next 4 in a batch of 4. Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, okay, P5 and P6, and then you got the 2 Alpines, right, in P7 and 8, with Thanos in P8.
Well, can I say, and I'm going to be super unpopular, and I always am on these podcasts anyway, but let me just say something. Ocon, I was very surprised about his performance this weekend. I thought he was really good. Yeah. I didn't expect him to be that good. He was very good, and give him his credit. I was even more surprised that Fernando showed up today, and how good he was. This really, and he was by Simon Lazenby and Nico after the race, and Nico said, listen, this was like watching the good old Fernando from way back when. He was attacking, he had good race pace. In the end, he was only 1 second off of Ocon, so 2 more laps, he would have gotten past Ocon. He was absolutely awesome today. And, and I know that you guys are not particularly fans of Alonso. I am more of a fan than you are, fine, I admit that. But I don't think anyone can disagree with me when I say it was fun to watch Fernando race today.
I can't disagree.
Yeah. The fact that he actually turned up.
Yep.
He actually turned up today. That was the thing that really caught me.
Yeah.
That's like, whoa, okay. He had a shit qualifying yesterday, right?
But he responded.
Here he comes. He responded.
Yeah. He actually made it. It was like, right, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this.
He drove like a champion today.
And plus, he drove like a champion. And there was that big Spanish slug match betwing him and Carlos Sainz. Yeah, we're probably gonna see a lot more of that next time out. At the whole race. Right? Yeah, Shame there's not gonna be any fans there, because can you imagine?
Yeah.
What it would have been like
bonkers.
with
fans. Right now,
you got the blue fans and you got the red fans, right? Spanish, both of them, right?
Right now it's about what was it? It was Leclerc, who's let's be honest. Let's be honest about Leclerc. He's always gonna finish in the top 5, 6. No, you can give him a donkey, okay? And this that donkey's gonna.
Well, he literally had a donkey last year, but
donkey's gonna have jetpacks on it and everything. You know what I mean? Like turbo.
He was only 4 seconds behind Norris.
But here's the thing about Lando, and here's where I think people need to appreciate the performance of Lando today. Lando, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, Lando, I think, started on softs. So he was on more of an unfavorable...
Wait,
Wasn't he on softs at the start? Because if he was,
I've got it here with the time.
Because Leclerc started on medium, so Leclerc started on a more favorable strategy. Lando.
Yeah, and then he switched to the hards. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's actually on this track a lot more. Well, not that it's a lot more impressive, but it was a lot more difficult to do because he started on an unfavorable tire that he had to pit earlier for. Leclerc started on medium, so he had always had the advantage.
He had the pace. He had the pace at the beginning.
Oh, he passed guys.
Yeah. So okay, let's just go back. Where is he? McLaren, Mercedes. Yeah. Lando Norris, softs, and you had Leclerc on the mediums and Carlos Sainz on the softs.
And Carlos dropped off massively towards the end. Lando kept it together.
And also Ocon was on the softs as well.
And Fernando, wasn't he also on softs?
No, he was outside. There was the top 10. The top 10 was just Hamilton. Well, the top 4, the both Mercedes and both Red Bulls, mediums, right? Then you had soft, which was Lando's, Vettel, and
Ocon.
Yep. And then you had Ferrari, medium soft, and you had Gasly on the softs as well.
And Fernando started. But which tire did Fernando start on? Was it the mediums?
It was the mediums. Okay. Yeah, because that was the everyone in the majority of people, because this only shows what only counts is what Q2 tires.
Yeah.
They went through to the top 10 on the Q2 tires. That's all it is. They don't care. You could be at the back of the grid and start on the soft. Doesn't matter.
Fine.
Right?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Lando's racecraft is phenomenal.
He phenomenal. Is. He's moved on.
This was my fear when going into this season, is that and I've talked about this on many occasions, how he sort of had this this reputation that he was brilliant. Of brilliance, like with Carlos when he was his teammate. Carlos was always more or less consistently. Lando was like up. Plus, Lando also had that reputation where he was the funny guy. He was hot dogging around, stuff like that. And my fear was that with Ricardo being up there, and Ricardo also likes his jokes and stuff, and that might be might be a little bit of a distraction. That I thought that he really had to take that next step this year, to show what he's capable of, not just in a race or 5 races, but throughout the year. I can't speak enough, highly enough of Lando's performance so far this season. He's been absolutely terrific, and I don't care what kind of order do you put Red Bull or Mercedes, who's better, who's worse. It's clear that McLaren is still the third best team. They're not top 2, and they're not that close to the top 2. But the fact that, yes, it's only 3 races, but Lando is ahead of one of the Mercedes and actually one of the Red Bulls as well. And this consistency, P4, P3, P5,
amazing.
What more can you ask for? And frankly, and Greg, just before you go, he's better, in my opinion, than Charles Leclerc. My honest opinion.
Oh my God! You know what, man?
Go ahead.
Okay, so okay. So let's talk about that. Okay, but before we talk about that, I'm gonna say that Lando's biggest benefit, I think, was being Carlos Sainz's partner first.
Yeah.
Because Carlos taught him so much that in that time they spent together transformed him completely. Because he was very inconsistent.
He turned the team around with him.
And Carlos taught him how to drive that car. Like he taught him how to drive in this game. He really did. You can see it. Even if I'm not talking personal conversations, but you learn on the track, and you can see his
telemetry.
100%. Oh yeah. Carlos taught him that shit, and I know he might live to regret it, but but at the time he never thought he was going to Ferrari. He was thinking, let's make this team the best team possible. We both need to fucking win.
You know what that reminds me of, right? When you do a contract, like your normal job or whatever, and it's a finite contract. It's not an indefinite sort of like permanent position, right? Okay, you go in there, you do the best damn job you can, right? Knowing that, okay, we don't know what's going to happen later, so you know what? I'm just going to give it all my all, 100% every day, day in, day out, right, and be done with it. And that's
That's
basically
Carlos.
what Carlos has.
That's Carlos,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Carlos is solid as shit. I like him a lot. Between those four drivers is very, very difficult for me. But towards your point about if he's better than Leclerc, man, like
No, that's still too early to call.
My God, man, like I'm gonna say I'm still out on that one. But man,
think about it at least.
I don't disagree with you. I can't disagree with you. I'll say that. I can't disagree with you.
But I think the fact that we're even having this discussion, I think, proves a point that Lando has taken that next step, hasn't he?
100%. 100%.
Well, it gets back to what they were saying in commentary today about there's two fights. There's Red Bull versus Mercedes, right? And then there's McLaren versus Ferrari.
I have it. I got it.
At the minute, right? So, yeah, that's what it is. I mean, I'm literally just going to be a complete neutral here. I'm not going to say nothing. Sorry, I'm going to be boring.
I can add to that. If I could add to my earlier point, now that I was listening to you, Roz, and just playing things over in my head, and like I literally just replayed like 3 or 4 races in my head. I think you're right, man.
About what?
It looks like that. So you got Formula One.
I'll tell you why.
Then you got.
Let me tell you why he's better. Sorry, Roz, but just before I'll forget, right?
Yeah.
He's better on tire management and emotional stability.
Yeah.
Lando Norris.
He's
way more in touch with his emotional ups and downs as the weekend progresses, and he can settle himself mentally way more efficiently than most other drivers, and just bring it right back down to where he needs to be. He can deal with maybe he cries, maybe he does whatever it is that he does, but his emotional stability is ridiculous. Like, it's phenomenal, because you'll see Leclerc's got all the talent, all the skills. He might even be faster on a single lap, in my opinion. But to manage tires over the duration of a race after an emotional issue happened with you is very challenging to do. And you can see a couple times that Leclerc in the past was very, very strong, because he's been gone through things. Lost his mom, he lost his dad, wins the race. You know what I mean? Lost his best friend, wins the next race. Like, that aggression right away. But over the last couple of races, or maybe even last year, that couple times he spun in the rain, remember? And then he let Vettel pass him last season. Lando got the best of all 3 of them that time in that race. Remember? Like, Lando was behind both Ferraris. Leclerc messed up going into the corners, like the last lap or something like that. It was rain. It was like slick on the track.
No, that was Turkey. That
was Turkey.
Yeah, but that was only Vettel got ahead of Leclerc. I think Lando was behind. Whatever. But I hear what you're saying.
No, it was against Perez in the.
He can mentally recover very, 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 very quickly. Like, very, very quickly, and he's still always settled. The car is always settled. You'll never see Lando Norris's car twitch. It doesn't look nervous. It never looks nervous. It's always well composed. And that's a reflection of his mental stability. Like,
well, and he also has.
Throttle, it doesn't affect his hands or his feet. Whatever the fuck's going on does not affect his hands or his feet.
Here's what I will add about the whole. I think it's also decision making sometimes. It's also decision making sometimes. I remember 2019 that race in Austria. When Verstappen was catching Leclerc at the end for the win, and eventually took him, and eventually won that race. What was one of the key characteristics? Why was that even possible? They going up. And he knows that Verstappen is behind him. He just leaves the inside completely wide open. Then, why would you do that? You just invite the other guy in. Sometimes there's also been times his collisions, some of his crashes. Last year, 2020, he crashed into Vettel for no apparent reason, just jammed into him. And I'm not saying that it's happened, it's part of racing, of course. But these are some of the things that.
That was quite bad with the Austria in.
But there's a reason why. The reason why he did that, though. The reason why he did that, though, is because his car had more rip than the Red Bull at that time, and the lap previous, that same situation happened, and both cars came out of the corner, and he outripped the Red Bull. I acceleration. Sorry, you accelerated.
The
Red Bull.
Grid. You know that, dude. You know, I think F1 is technical enough with its own terms. You know, stop making shit up.
I'm saying this is a decision making.
No, but that is the point. The reason why he did that time is because he believed his car had the ability to still stay on the outside and stay ahead of the Red Bull.
And it was the wrong
second lap. The difference the second time around was that Verstappen hit him.
Well, but you leave their space.
Well, obviously he hit him, and then Netflix made a scene,
and that was their wrong decision. And it goes back to what I was saying. Yeah. And this is what I'm saying. You saw last race, Imola, right? You know, Lando knows. Okay, Hamilton is coming. He's going to overtake me. He's going to overtake me. He doesn't put himself in a situation where they crash out. He fights. Then comes the moment where he can't fight, lets him go, but doesn't lose too much time.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
Yeah, he knows which battles to fight.
So mature.
Charles sometimes makes I don't think that he makes necessarily the wrong decision in per se, but the execution of it sometimes is iffy, I would say.
He beats himself up when he makes those mistakes too much.
That's also, but then you have to pull yourself out of it. So what I'm saying is, if you make a 50-50 decision and you still don't execute it like Leclerc in his career already, that's where he needs to improve. Obviously, Ferrari are in the shits right now, so you can't really judge them that highly. So if they were in the top 3 car, if they were fighting for wins, I would think we would see a better Leclerc. But I do think that there are some small elements that make up the big picture in which Lando is better. And that is my personal opinion. It's not that Leclerc is bad. I'm just saying that Lando really is now making you think about how good he actually is.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right. So moving down the grid, we've covered Lando and we've covered Charles. The two Alpines or Team Enstones, right? Ocon and Fernando Alonso, being the Fernando of old, and finishing both of them finishing where they were in P7 and 8, getting up points. That was pretty damn clean. I mean, I'm really looking forward to. Alonso basically woke up after the pit stops, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he went long as well.
He went long. But then as soon as he had the pit stop, that was it. He woke up and just like, it's like
hard tires.
All he needs to do now, my thing with Alonso now is if he wants to, do these things, he really needs to. Maybe it's just the car, because you remember this chassis has been modified like 3 times since 2019. Okay, because it's been a carryover of a carryover. And with all the restructuring, he really needs to get his qualifying together. That's the thing that's letting him down right now. I can't fault him on anything else. As much as I'm not a fan of his, because his massive ego and I still think he's not going to win Indy because. But that's another thing.
That's a different conversation.
That's he's not going to get the Triple Crown, right? He's not going to get it.
Well, he's not. He's not. Yeah.
He's not, right? Yeah.
Well, anyway,
sorry, I got distracted.
You surprised me. You did really well today. I'm not an Alonso. I was an Alonso fan, just so you know. But
since after his toxic relationship at Ferrari, getting everyone fired and all that stuff. But if
anybody's listening, if you're come to me, I'll take care of you.
Well, he did. But honestly, though, in all seriousness, though, he impressed me today. He brought it, man. He did really well.
At 40 years old.
Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong with being 40?
Nothing.
Hey, exactly. What's wrong with
nothing.
But no, he did
being
well.
40 minus 1?
He's not going to beat. Listen, he's not going to beat Ocon over the season. However, he did a damn good job today. He did
if he keeps finishing where he, if he keeps, he's not going to beat him over the course of the season. Yes, okay, but
I disagree with that. But
But I'm being honest, right? Let's be honest, right? you know, he still needs to acclimatize. There's going to be a few more races. Like, quali is his biggest Achilles heel right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it is. Right? There's no two ways about it. Quali is his biggest Achilles heel. Right? Maybe we get to Barcelona because everyone knows Barcelona because they've been racing there since, I don't know, the dinosaurs. Right? And he's raced on both iterations of Barcelona as well. So that's with the chicane and without the chicane.
I got a question for you. If he didn't go outside of the track limits, where would he have qualified?
He would have been right up.
That's right.
No, I don't know.
Would he have qualified fifth?
No,
without going outside of track limits.
What was his starting? No. Where did he start?
Fernando P13. P13.
He started P13.
Yeah.
But remember, he qualified ahead of right in the middle of the Ferraris. Did he not? Did he not split the Ferraris?
No.
He qualified before. Okay, if his time did not get deleted, where would he have qualified? Is the question really?
P13. That's where he was. He was genuinely P13.
No, man.
He was. He said himself in Q2. Yeah.
He said
that he struggled with the qualifying lap, and he said that he was very pissed about that. So he said that today he wanted to rectify the stuff and have a better race.
Basically, he knew he cocked up in quali. It wasn't about time deletion or anything like that. He just had a bad lap.
Okay.
It was just
probably with the wind as well, because remember it was a bit gusty yesterday, right? And all the rest.
It was just a bad qualifying and great race,
Yeah. So essentially, he knew he could have had a good race, which he showed today, right? But he compromised himself in quali. So what going forward for him and his fans, okay, he needs to work on his quali essentially, and then that's it. He's back. He's right back there.
And don't forget the fact that it has been more obvious than any other year when you have either a rookie or somebody who comes in the team for the first time. Pretty much every single one of the drivers to some extent have struggled. No different
for sure.
in that sense from a Tsunoda or from a Carlos Sainz or Ricardo, who exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much that lack of qualifying pace is lack of pace versus him still not being accustomed to the car. That is actually quite different to 2018 McLaren. So
2018.
Now we can fight McLaren.
Oh,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Anyways, so Pierre Gasly P10. Oh,
at the last minute he got that.
He got that on the last minute. I mean, but the thing is, both of the Alpha Tauris were almost like slap bang
average,
slapped down to reality, right? It was like. Because they weren't really anywhere. I mean, Tsunoda was, where was he?
Who knows? Who cares? Yeah.
It was genuinely that bad, right?
But give Gasly credit for not giving up and actually getting that point.
Yeah. He fought. He had to fight hard for that against the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Yeah. But genuinely, it was like, apart from that,
But they had an off weekend in general compared to the first two.
I think that's what it was, because you know how everyone hyped them up and everything like that? And this is the problem, innit? You will have bad weekends. So you could just say it's a bad weekend, right? And let's be honest, most cars were affected by the wind and track conditions. I'm pretty sure.
Is this his third bad weekend in a row?
No. Well, no. He was decent. The last race he was P7 in Imola. He obviously had that crash with Ricardo in the first race, but he hasn't been that bad. And I think P10 really was the maximum, and he got it. And he wasn't on course for getting it for quite a while.
Let's be honest. There was hardly any attrition as well. Yeah. Right. Look back at Imola. There was shit going off all over the shop. Right. So with this race, where literally only one car DNF'd.
And that was a crash, and that wasn't even a technical.
And that was exactly on like the first lap, right? That says a lot. The fact that no one, even Mazepin,
gonna say that. He took the words out of my mouth.
even Mazepin saw the checkered flag without a spin,
Speaking of Haas, Raz, you want to talk about something?
We're getting to that. We're getting to that, obviously, right? Yeah. So we'll gloss over between P11 and P16.
Yeah, talk about something else.
Whoa,
let's be honest, nothing really happened.
No. We
right?
can't do that. Come on, guys.
Right.
Come on. You're gonna deny me again 2 weeks in a row?
Yes. Yeah. We are gonna deny you. No. Okay. All right. P11, Carlos Sainz. Meh. Okay. Did anything, let's be honest, he couldn't do much more than what he did, right? He started on the soft.
Who was P?
Because Leclerc started.
Who was P9?
He started on the soft.
Who was P9?
Ricardo.
Oh, that's right, Ricardo. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, that's right.
This is the problem. This race has been like, half, these, apart from Red Bull and Mercedes, right? All the other teams have had races of two halves, with one of their driver doing excellent and the other of their driver doing, where was he? Oh, right, he was there.
I have
right,
one question for you, Raz. One.
Yeah.
Where did Lance Stroll finish?
Aha! Funny you should say that. Okay. Well, I was going to get to that. But here's the thing. Carlos Sainz, Giovinazzi finished P12. Okay. And Sebastian.
He did well, Giovinazzi had a good race. Giovinazzi.
Nothing special, I thought, actually.
No, I mean, he crashed it. Well, him and his teammate had a crash. Whose fault was it anyway? That was the other thing, or was it just like a racing incident?
To be honest, I would have to watch it again. I only saw the replay. I didn't pay too much attention.
I know it was one of those sort of like really weird sort of.
I don't think it actually mattered that much because I don't think Alfa Romeo were going places anyway. This.
Well, they knew that. I mean, Giovinazzi did say that this was the best we could hope for because there was no attrition in this race. And that's the thing. And they know that they're on the fringes of the points, but if everyone ahead of them finishes,
no chance.
They're not going to get no points.
No chance. Who was P13?
He literally said that.
Who was P13?
P13 was Sebastian Vettel.
Okay. And when was Stroll?
Lance Stroll was P14.
Oh, so Seb beat his teammate.
No, because I'll tell you why. No. You're going to laugh at this. What happened was, and I'm just reading the quote from Otmar Safnauer. You're going to laugh at this.
Raz, when you read something from Otmar Safnauer, you might as well be reading something from Lawrence Stroll.
Okay, all right. So should I do a hostage video?
Yeah. But anyway, what did he say?
Okay, essentially.
But anyway, what did he say?
What happened was basically it was like, this was the best we could hope for, right?
Yeah.
And what happened was towards the end, he was running behind Seb, on fresher tires. So we asked Seb to let Lance pass so he could have a go at trying to catch and pass the cars ahead to give us an outside chance of nicking a point. In the end, Lance was not able to do so, and very sportingly, he gave the place back to Seb on the final lap. I didn't see that.
I didn't either.
All I saw was the overtake.
Well, that's why
and then
I was
when
asking.
I'm reading the results,
that's why I was asking you. That's why I was asking you.
Yeah,
you know where I was going. And then I went to go check the results myself. And then I went to go check the results myself.
And I just stopped.
You messed up.
You messed up.
Got you.
No, exactly. No. The thing
How'd that happen?
The thing is,
That's not happened.
and speaking of
my
Aston
man
Martin,
was trying to set everything up. The joke was on him all the time. The joke was on him all the time.
It's almost like Otmar watched this podcast. Maybe he did. We don't know. Right? Yeah. And he probably thought, right, if that's what that Greg thinks, right? This is what I'm gonna do. Right? I'm gonna make sure we switch.
He watched our last podcast. He watched our last podcast.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Hello, Otmar. All right.
He's gonna make me buy that merch. That's what he's gonna make me buy merch. He wants me to buy merch.
We're very petty here, right? Yeah. Anyways, point is, right? Aston Martin had literally a race of two halves, being that they only bought the upgrade package to one car, which was
that car finished.
Okay.
And that car finished behind the other car.
And not only that, it was worse because remember he qualified behind the other car, right? Which was like. How? Right. I mean, obviously it was due to mistakes on Lance's laps, right? He went wide or whatever, right? But the thing is,
it's not an upgrade.
I get.
It's not an upgrade.
I get why they were. with this track and with Barcelona being like the perfect venue for bringing upgrades. Every team brings upgrades to Barcelona.
It's not an upgrade. It's not an upgrade. It's not an upgrade. It's not an upgrade if they're not fast.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I was gonna.
It's just changes.
That's what I'm saying.
Just made some changes.
No. So apparently, Aston Martin have a policy, or sorry, not Aston Martin. The Silverstone team have a policy that if there's not enough parts to go around for both cars, they put it on the car that is leading the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The only thing you could take away from this is it was probably a very good back-to-back comparison of both cars because testing is limited anyway.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, good point. I agree.
But here's the thing.
And not only that, because
here's the thing.
usually free practice one is 1.5 hours, but this year it's only 1 hour, right?
But
and
can
it's
I
get
add,
even more weirder next.
Can I add? But didn't they say? But didn't they say? Obviously, it's not enough. We can't talk about an upgrade. We can't talk about if you're ending up slower than you were. But slower than you were. But they were actually. I think if I remember correctly, and maybe you guys. I remember they were talking on Friday that actually the floor upgrades, the upgrade package, right? It was on the floor, right? They were saying that actually...
No, there was an aero package as well.
Okay, fine. Aero package. They were saying that it's actually working pretty decently. They were actually quite positive about it. Playing rolls around.
Yeah.
Seb gets into Q3 for the first time since forever. With the upgrades, or the updates out in Q3. I understand being out in Q3. I understand Seb is like P14. I would understand that. But Seb gets into Q3. He gets into the top 10. Well, the updated car. P16. And what this is weird.
I'll tell you why. I'm going to touch on this point. Being that Lance is less experienced than Seb, being that he's been through a lot more and everything. He's got a lot more experience. I think they missed a trick here. I mean, granted, they said, okay, well, they must have done it on a flip of a coin, right? And thought, okay, fine, fuck it, we'll give it to the guys with the most amount of points, right? Seb, being a gentleman, said, all right, fine, I don't care, right? Because, it would have been more prudent if they really wanted to do a back-to-back to put it on the guy who actually knows what upgrades mean rather than the one leading for the sake of leading.
On top of that, and I agree with you, but even like another step of that is you should not mess with what's already fucking working. Why would you test something? You don't have the testing time to develop, to determine whether that change is going to give you a positive delta or a negative delta. So why would you risk that on the car ahead in the championship? That doesn't make any sense. This is the opportunity for you to test it out. And Vettel would have told you right away if it was shit or not. Well, not right away. But
exactly. Because
he would know.
He would have given more better feedback.
That's right. He would be able to evaluate it way more effectively if they had given him the parts. And I would have. It's common. It would. Well, I was about to say it's common sense to give it to Vettel first. And I'm still gonna say it. It's common sense, man. No. This was a strategic. They shit the bed with this decision.
And on top of that, and Greg, and to follow on both of your points, not only is it about experience and giving to somebody, because Seb has always actually been a pretty good tester of the cars. Not only that. He was brought in. Sergio Perez was kicked out because they wanted somebody who has world championship experience, winning 50 plus races, having that pedigree because we need that type of driver because we want to get to that next level. We need that driver, and you don't give updated car.
That's wrong. Yes.
You're gonna hire him. You're gonna hire him. If you hire him, then you're not gonna. It doesn't make any sense. Like what? What do you think?
I mean, all right. For argument's sake, let's say they only had the one package that they did, and they gave it to Seb, right? This weekend, instead of actually waiting for having both of them ready for next weekend, which next weekend would have been even better because Barcelona is more of a track to test.
Yes, you have more baseline than that track than from Portugal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, Portugal being all windy and, the aero won't be calibrated properly because, God knows what's going on there. and everything. I'm pretty sure, being Seb, he must have told them that, look, if you want to put it on his car, I don't want it because it's not going to make sense, right? There must have been something going on there, because the fact that Seb was able to deliver in, let's say, the more inferior package, right? If it's supposed to be an upgrade, I'm sorry, Seb must have said something.
Maybe he said he didn't want it. Maybe he said he didn't want it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He must have said that. No, I'd rather wait till Spain, right?
Because he would be smart enough to fucking know.
Yes. Yeah. Because remember a few times. I think Ferrari, when he was at Ferrari, I think it was 2019 or 2018. They brought along an update package, okay, and they tested it. The usual place and everything like that, and then they found that it wasn't really giving them a good enough sort of calibration. Yeah. What they do is take it off and stick the old shit on.
Yeah.
Right. That's what
you do.
That's what
you do.
The likes of Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. They evaluate it. Obviously, there's no in-season testing, so they think, right, okay, FP1, we'll bolt everything on, see how it goes, and it's like, right, okay. And then in FP2, they'll probably trial it with the longer simulation and then compare it back to back with the car that doesn't have it.
Bro,
you're right. Aston Martin rushed it.
They do the shit. They paid me, bro. They paid me. We're sitting here on our armchairs, and we know this makes no goddamn.
Can I?
Aston Martin rushed it, literally. We're armchair experts.
Can I add a few more points to Aston Martin? And this is more a broader point. I think it kind of ties into it because. The big story coming off season has been the low rate cars, the high rate cars, which are how the low rate Mercedes and Aston Martin have supposedly been hit harder by the rule changes than the high rate changes. They are the high rate cars. They are. It's quite obvious that it's not just about the rake. You can obviously argue that maybe Mercedes have better people, better personnel, and they understood it better, but they've won 2 out of the 3 races, and they've been competitive in all. Clearly, there is something that missing, I think, within the team in terms of understanding the car. When it was Force India, one of the key characteristics of that team was it was a smaller team. It was Perez and Hulkenberg. It was a smaller team. It was a smaller budget with smaller personnel that could sort of overachieve. They would always find these little tiny solutions that would elevate them Renault and McLaren and stuff. They always have that effectiveness. Could it be kind of paradoxical now that they have bigger investments, they have bigger money, when they have more money, people. Could it be that, or maybe it's Otmar Safnauer not being on top of things? I don't know, that they have lost that trait. What's the right word? That element of getting that maximum.
Is it too many chestnut? Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. Offnar, he's no longer. He doesn't have the power he used to have. There's that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So he's got to ask permission to make obvious, logical fucking decisions. And you don't have Perez.
Yeah.
They don't have Perez. Perez is a big differentiating factor. Huge. Huge.
But it's clearly it's not just the rate. It's not the rate only. It is part of it.
No. It's a lot more than just the rate, because the thing is that whole thing with the FIA has now been put to bed because they actually found out, right, even through Mercedes, that actually, you know what, there was no sort of sporting disadvantage, or there was nothing malicious really behind the rule change, and it was purely on the grounds that they said it was, and it was mandated from the FIA and only the FIA alone, right? And that's it, because the tires just the laws of physics were being broken essentially, right? Because that's how the tires were being ripped apart that badly, okay, with the cars being that fast. and Pirelli just said we can't do any more, right? And you saw what happened in Silverstone last year, right? 3 wheels across. Yeah. So, anyways, they basically put that to bed. Now it's just gonna have to be like, right, okay, no more bitching and moaning. If we're gonna do something for this year, knowing that at some point everyone's gonna have to switch over to next year's cars, let's make the most of it. So if this is the upgrade package that they bring in, they really now have to just hone this car, hone the operation of the team, hone their procedures and everything. And like you said, Otmar needs to tell Lawrence that, hey, look, you want me to run this team? Let me run this team. And
I think exactly on a couple of weeks ago on the race website, and it was done by Gary Anderson, one of the more an experienced guy, worked with many teams in Formula One, and he was actually touching.
He worked at that team, innit?
Yeah, exactly. And he was talking about how if the big guy, meaning Lawrence Stroll, and I'm paraphrasing here, but if his influence and his sort of emotions get in the way, it's not that Otmar is not a good team principal. I think he's decent. I don't think he's super special. He's decent. I don't think he's that.
Because think about it. Last year and the year before, they did all right. Yeah,
he did all right. But I think I would take Andreas Seidel over him personally. But whatever. That's not the point. The point is if he does not have the full backing in terms of running the race operation, not the team's operation, but exactly the racing operation. If he's being second guessed, if he's forced to be distracted by some sort of completely nonsensical spats with the FIA, that whole thing about the FIA's rule changes, Pirelli dismissed that, I think, the next day, because they said pretty clearly, we couldn't guarantee to the tires would be good enough. They said, we can't guarantee you that we can make these new, more durable tires. So what we need you to do is also combine that with certain aero regulations that reduce downforce.
To slow the car down, yeah.
And then it ended up happening that Pirelli was able to make a slightly better tire, and it was a combination of both of those elements. It was never about handicapping Mercedes or Aston Martin or Racing Point at the time. Yeah. So, but if Otmar Safnauer is being distracted by the stuff like this, then you can have Seb, you can have Michael Schumacher, you can have Prime Ayrton.
You can have Lewis Hamilton in that car.
Exactly, or Hamilton. It's not going to make no difference if they cannot do their job. And I think this whole thing about upgrades, who's getting what and how they're tested, prime example. The fact that they are. This thing was and now they can't get into the points. Prime example. And it's not just the example. And it's not just the low rate.
They can't get out of a they can't get out of a wet paper bag right now. It's ridiculous.
Precisely. Yeah. Precisely.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on.
Now can we talk about Mick?
Yes. Now we can talk about George. No. First of all, let's talk about George Russell. What happened there?
He was bad. He was bad.
He was only like a 100th off Alonso in qualifying, wasn't he, or something like that?
Gasly or Seb. Gasly.
Yeah, he was so close to making it to into the top 10, and then he just fell like a brick,
Yeah.
And
no real mistakes.
Yeah, he literally didn't do nothing wrong, but he just fell like a brick. There was nothing you do.
There's got to be a mechanical issue. There has to be something. That's obvious.
I mean,
who knows? Actually, who knows?
Who knows? But the thing is, Williams did say that car has got aero issues. It's peaky downforce. And that's it.
This is the thing.
Maybe.
This is the thing.
The windy conditions really probably hampered it bad.
The wind would have made it much a bigger issue. Under scenario, perfect wind tunnel testing, they knew they were inefficient. They were subpar at best. With wind conditions,
it's only when they go to Barcelona.
With uncontrollable wind conditions, you might as well be driving a bus.
Yeah, exactly. It's only Barcelona which is really the proper track where anyone could test. It is a testing track for a reason, because it's ideal conditions.
Not just that, but it has all. Not just that, but it has all the right corners.
Yes, that's what I mean. Ideal conditions, all the way.
All
conditions, corners,
100%.
tarmac,
But
You can touch your motor,
can't you also?
you can touch your motor,
Can't you
set
also?
up tires.
But can't you also say that? Can't you also say that? Okay, but can't you also say that going with a peaky downforce philosophy is way too risky for a team like Williams, for a team like Williams, you rather have a consistent package and lock out on a crazy race rather than having this peak, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a big risk to have that type of philosophy as well.
Because the thing is, they used to be like that, like you just said, consistent, right? And they were consistently last. Right? So they thought, okay, you know what? We're just gonna go with it. They essentially thought YOLO, right? Because this is the last year of it, and so they just thought, okay, we'll just. It's what they've done with this car is basically go big or go home.
I have a question.
I have a quick question. Do you know that the aero package is going to be peaky prior to race one?
Yes, that was clearly.
They knew that. Yeah.
What happens if you haven't raced it? It's gonna peak based on how you can follow the car ahead, right? And turbulence.
No. I mean the CFDs and everything. I don't know how exactly this is. You do realize we have to.
Sorry.
It's hard. It's hard to describe.
Using the CFDs, you're looking at the numbers. You can't determine whether your downforce is peaking unless you're in varying conditions.
Okay,
right?
let's say the perfect F1 car is the perfect compromise across all 23 tracks or 20 tracks. Okay, because what happens is you got the variety of tracks where some tracks are high downforce, some tracks are low downforce, some tracks are loads of medium speed corners, some tracks are high speed corners, all the rest of it. So what happens is they put it all together and try and find the best perfect average kind of thing, right?
Yes.
And Williams have basically thought, okay, fine, let's go for track A, B, X, Y, and Z. Okay, and the rest of it we could throw away, right? Because we know for a fact that they would have taken into account historic data, like, okay, this track is this track has got a lot of attrition. Okay, so if we design our car to work around that track better, right, knowing that half the field will be wiped out at some point, we got a chance of a point. That's their thinking behind the peaky downforce. It's like, okay, that will be like, let's say for example, that will be Hungary or Monaco. Okay, those tracks require a lot of downforce, but at the same time, attrition is quite high, right? So it's like they are gambling, but they know that we could only gamble so much because they were in a bit of a shit spot, right, with regards to how they were, and now they're being rebuilt with Jos Capito and his team, and so there's like, right, let's just do what we can, throw the dice, see what happens, and.
But here's the thing, I think
that's basically.
And I think you're completely right, but I think there's two things that we have to keep in mind. The first thing is that we're supposed to have 23 races. Even if we have 20, we've only had 3. So let's not judge it way too quickly as well. We only had 3 races.
That's true.
And we only had 3 races. The other thing is, they were packaged, they were last anyway. Packaged, they were last anyway. Thursday, kind of last.
Yeah, but now they could at least jump a bit.
Maybe.
One more thing.
Well, maybe.
He qualified T11. And the race conditions are more consistent to what they're going to experience in the wind tunnel. And their CFD results. In a race, this is what I'm saying about the whole thing about the peak area. In my head, what we're talking about makes no sense.
Oh, me neither. I'm trying to understand it as well. I'm trying to understand it based on what I know.
You can qualify P11 with no traffic. He's going to fall down the ranks like P16 because of traffic. So it's the inconsistent causing the response for the car to be inconsistent.
And this is what I'm saying. Have they made a massive blunder with choosing this type of because they knew that
they don't have enough downforce. They don't have enough downforce.
But that's what I'm saying. You can be the biggest optimist in the world. You know that George Russell, you're not going to be up there. You're not going to be up there. You're still going to be in traffic all the time anyway. If you have
You'll be lucky to get a point.
So that's my point. So that's my point. Going with the peaky downforce, going to massive blunders. Who cares? Who cares? Next rules anyway. Next year. Next year. It's sad, and I think with Russell, and I think with Russell, I think you also have to understand. We might see more races like that. More races like that. The guy's just tired of being. And I understand. And I understand how he feels.
Not only that, but the peaky downforce thing, right, would have worked had he not had that crash with Bottas.
Yeah.
Think about it. Right?
That's what
he was in the points.
That's what P10, P9.
That would have been a point.
P10, P9.
That was P9. That was P9 right there, right? That would have been.
There was no reason.
That would have been a point.
There was no reason any change between last race and this race. Between last race and this race.
Yeah, no, because that's what I'm talking about. The peaky downforce is essentially it will work. I mean, this track with its gusty winds is basically. I think the result we see today is purely 90% of it is dependent on the tire choice because they were too damn hard.
Yeah.
You couldn't even warm them up.
Yeah.
Right. And the fucking wind.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you something.
That played havoc.
You know what? I'll tell you something. Because you know what, Raz? You're right. Because you know what they had the last race. I watched it. They had the last race. I watched it. Many of us did. I'm sure many of us did. The perception of Bottas over to the right. From over to the right,
which he did.
Which he did into reality. Russell's perspective. From Russell's perspective, I watched it because I watched the camera from his perspective. From his perspective, right? And he
definitely does.
Yeah, because the line. The thing is,
you can't see the track from there. From that position, from that position, it's a blind corner to Russell, right? So to him, it does look like he's going to. So to him, it does look like he's going to the right. But here's the other issue. Here's the other issue. There's the wake from Bottas's car. The wake from Bottas's car.
And the damn patch that he went over.
Granted, but that damn patch would not have been as an effective issue if there was no wake. If there was no wake of coming off of Bottas's car, coming off of Bottas's car, I'm just saying it's going to come off. I'm just saying this is what we're seeing, and as we're seeing the results of this race, I can go back and correlate that to I can go back on the videos last week because I saw we've all driven behind trucks on the highway. We've all driven beside and passed fast. We've all driven beside and passed. And you know the wheel, and you know the wheel goes like this. If the weather's off, you're going to feel an effect way more. You're going to feel an effect way more. That when you're trying to make a pass, that lead is a real thing. The lead is, and if they have an issue, because they don't have enough downforce, because they don't have enough downforce, he was bound to crash last week. He was bound to crash last week. Yeah, but there's no way he would have known that. There's no way he would have known.
That was electrifying analysis, but also it's like this goes back to what I was saying. Then why go for this type of arrow?
Peaky downforce.
Desperation.
Desperation. That's what it is. It's like they know that this is the last year of this regulation.
They want to quit.
And it's like, you know what? Sod it. Let's just.
They got the driver,
go home
the engine. They got the driver, they got the motor. They can get a goddamn point, for fuck's sakes.
Let's be
real. Come on.
But it's only, again, 3 races. And the focus has to be on next year anyway. And Jos Capital and Doralton Capital are there for next year starting onwards. So we also shouldn't. We can ask questions, but at the end of the day, who really cares?
Yeah, the fact that they don't really care as well, you know. I mean, it shows. I mean, all they're playing for now, right? Essentially, is for pride.
Well, for the P8 in the constructors.
And not only that, it's just, George Russell, he won't have to do a PowerPoint presentation to Total Wolff. Because as soon as he gets a point, right, him and his PowerPoint presentations. That's why I'm going the drive at Williams.
It was.
So he's just like, sod it, I've had enough of PowerPoint presentations. That's why I have to justify, right, Mike, and everything like that. It's like, here, 1 point. He'll be like that. So,
anyway, Raz, can I?
Moving on to the big story. Yeah. Yes, the big story, the tasty little thing that was happening at the back of the grid, which we all saw, right? And it was a bit of a, feel-good moment for everyone. Mick Schumacher finished ahead, convincingly ahead of Nicholas Latifi in the other Williams. And he was in a Haas. And to quote Gunther Steiner, fucking well done.
Yeah.
Over to you guys.
Can I start? Can I start?
Yeah, go on.
I echo Greg's reaction now. Greg, I will give the word back to you, but quickly. The word back to you, but quickly.
I said in the previous podcast,
I said in the previous in this F1 world, watching the red car win with a certain German driver and with a certain German driver, and to see the MSC back on the list is great. But I don't think people how actually impressive was Mick today. We can say, okay, you have your Williams, your Alfa Romeos, and your Haas as the back markers, but like Haas is like totally a back marker. There's a gap between Haas and Williams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Up with he beat his teammate by like a minute. How's that even possible? But let's put that aside. The fact that he was able to catch Latifi, put on the pressure for all those laps. Then he loses the gap because he had to get out for the blue flags, which Latifi wasn't impacted by that as much as Mick was, because Latifi could have got out of the way.
Latifi was always on the straight. He was always on the straight.
So he had to get 3 or 4 seconds back and still force the mistake. I think we're looking at...
Did he do that?
And I think we're looking at a very, very talented driver. I don't think he is appreciated enough. I don't think it got as much hype as it deserved to get. I don't think people realize how bad how consistently good Mickey has been so far this year. Always finishing races, no crashes in races, no crashes. P17, it's the maximum, but it's not maximum being the consistent finisher, but also putting on the pressure on what is objectively a fast car on speed days, at least on its speed days.
Well, no. I'm just going to interrupt you right there. Just on this race, right? Even when Mick was in DRS on the main straight, because the Williams had that Merc engine in the back of it, and you could turn it up. He just wasn't able to. I always saw it. It was just 0.3 behind, and then he only overtook him in the bends, not on the main straight, right? Even though he just couldn't, because the Merc engine in the back of that Williams was too powerful compared to the Ferrari engine in the Haas.
But he got past anyway, and he forced a mistake.
Yeah, that's what made it even bigger of an achievement.
I think that. I was so positively shocked by it. I can't even speak properly. I don't have enough words to say how much impressed by that I was. Like I said, I don't think people appreciate the situation between the cars and how bad the Haas is, and the fact that Mickey is putting this performance in. And I think the fact his race engineer deserves a lot of credit. He's been coaching him very, very well.
Yes. Everyone loves him on the internet as well.
Yes.
By the way, if you watch the watch the tweet of the message when he passed him and everything like that, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's so nice, so cute," and everything. But it's not about the cuteness, but we know. That coaching is very important for a young driver, and Mick is obviously a very nice guy, but Mick is also an extremely hard worker. He's also very invested in the team. He's loved by the team. You saw in the middle of the week how Gunther Steiner was talking about how hardworking he is, how much he is, how much impact you got that guy who is not only great on track, but off track. You have a real asset there. You have a real asset there. I can't speak highly enough of him. It was just terrific. It was just phenomenal. It was just phenomenal.
Personally, I used to be a big Michael Schumacher fan. Michael Schumacher fan. With his son coming into the game, I very much had let's like mentally, I was like whatever, like mentally, right? I was like whatever, let's see, right? I want to, whatever, right? Yeah, whatever, right? This kid is really solid. His drive was really solid, and that any idiot can drive fast. Any idiot can drive fast on the straight, right? Corners are what makes the difference, right? Corners are what makes any idiot can drive a straight line.
Yeah.
Any idiot can drive a straight line.
The fact that he passed him in the corner, right?
Very impressive drive. And his attitude, his demeanor is amazing. His humility is amazing. His humility, 10 all across the board. 10 all across the board.
On that point, you said you were a fan of Michael, and you said your son coming into the sport. He's the son of Michael Schumacher. He's the son of Michael Schumacher. You know what kind of pressure that is? You can't even imagine.
Oh, God. You know how much pressure he had here in Germany, right, during his Formula 4 days.
I can only
Right?
imagine.
I remember I was.
I can only imagine.
No. I genuinely remember, right? I'm gonna tell you this, right? When I first moved here to Germany in 2016, it was July or something like that, and I thought, sod it, I'll just go down to Hockenheimring because there was a. I was told by the German Michael Schumacher fan club, on Facebook that, hey, we're all meeting up down in Hockenheim for the ADAC GT Masters or whatever it is, and the F4 was a support race for there, right? And these kind of support races and everything like that are a bit more freer and more open. You could get into the paddock with the standard day pass and everything like that. So I was like, all right, sod it, I'll go there and see what's what. I went there and it was just like, even though he was just at the beginning of his career, it's like dude was swarmed by everyone, right? I mean, that's here. And then when he won that race, which was the icing on the bloody cake as well, right, that weekend, it was just like,
here he comes.
Everyone else actually most people disappeared after the F4 race, and they actually didn't bother sitting for the main GT3 race, which basically said everything that I needed to know. I was like, okay, you know what? I paid for this race. I want to watch some GT cars race, and I actually stayed for the whole thing. But my goodness, was that told me everything that I needed to know about. That was just F4, which is nothing, right? It's regional.
Where's he gonna
I think this was actually I was going to ask the same question. I think the logical thing. I think the logical thing. The logical step. Alfa Romeo maybe. Alfa Romeo maybe. Maybe replacing Kimi because Kimi is not going to drive forever. Let's be honest. Kimi is not going to drive forever. Let's be honest.
Kimi said he's out next year, isn't he?
I don't think it's official yet. I don't think it's official yet. Yeah.
He's gonna go down
because he's not gonna get it because he's not gonna get it. Carlos hasn't been that bad. You should talk about Carlos being that bad. You should talk about Leclerc is there for Ferrari yet. Leclerc is there for. I think the logical step. I think the logical step is at least shorter. But I do think next year with the new regulations next year, assuming new investments from assuming new maybe the Haas isn't as bad anymore. Maybe the Haas isn't more enjoyable to drive. Maybe it's more enjoyable to drive for Mick Schumacher. Maybe it's not that. Mick Schumacher. Maybe it's not still bad.
The problem is who's going to be the investor? I don't want it to be Bitch Energy. Right?
No,
apparently there's a rumor. There's a very strong rumor going around that Gene Haas is selling up.
Well, it's not a surprise, but I think in general, if the rules that are projected for next year, if they work as we are planning them, if they work as we are planning them, and if they for them bring the field closer together, and it gives a chance for the likes of Haas and Alfa Romeo and Williams to become more competitive and nick that It's a good place still to be for Mick. It's a good place still to be for Mick, and I think he will take that up. Remember, and for Mick Formula 3. Remember, the first is Formula 3. The first is then he wins the championship year. Then he wins the reconnaissance year. Then he wins the reconnaissance year. He's always even championship. Yeah, and he's always even. But
and they were mentioning that on this coverage as well in commentary. I think it was Crofty and Brundle and even Ted Kravitz. They were all saying that Mick has this certain pattern. The first year it's all about building yourself up, right? Doing the best you can, and then putting it all together for the following year. And I think he's very lucky that he's got this chance at Haas to do that, because usually in Formula One, like you see with Red Bull, you come in, you have to perform from day one. Otherwise, Helmut Marko is going to execute you behind the Red Bull factory.
He's in the best
and that's it, right?
He's in the best situation.
And
he's in the best situation.
And that's it. Whereas with this, is Haas have basically created the perfect environment for Mick to do his thing of get everything out the way, get all your mistakes and shit out the way in the first year, do all the spins and rookie errors and whatnot, and then the following year, if for example it'll be like, right, okay, he's ready, move him up to Alfa Romeo, okay, Callum Ilott coming in because he's Ferrari reserve, remember?
Or Schwartzman, or Schwartzman.
I would keep Giovinazzi. I would keep Giovinazzi and Schumacher for 3 years.
Giovinazzi and Schumacher, but
for the Haas seat.
for the Haas seat, it will be because Ferrari, you have that whole thing of keeping one of their drivers in, thing. So it'll be like, right, okay, get Kalamaila in for Haas, but that will be awkward if you think about it, right?
Why?
Given the history between Mazepin and Kalamaila in F4.
Is Mazepin staying for next year? That's the question.
That's the question. Yeah, I mean, is his money gonna stay there?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe his money's gonna buy the team. His money's gonna buy the team next year. He might be his team.
Yeah.
next
Exactly,
year.
and I mean that's the thing. And then if that apparently the rumor is right, Mazepin's money is gonna buy the team outright from Gene Haas, and Bitch Energy is gonna be Untitled sponsor.
Oh my god.
Oh, I don't want to see Bad Santa again. It's just, I mean.
Listen, man, the show hasn't had a sideshow pony for many years.
We don't want him. Right?
It's been a while. It could be fun. I think it could be fun.
No, I'm sorry. No. And we're going to end it on that. He's not coming back. Okay, he's not coming back. Anyway,
Right.
genuinely, Mick Schumacher's performance,
Hats
like
off.
you said,
Hats off.
Yeah. And I've
Hats
just been
off.
looking at the lap times and everything
Yep.
like that. He literally had to give away a couple of seconds every other sort of lap, right? But somehow he'd get right back onto Latifi's tail. And Latifi, he more often than not, if you watch the replay, more often than not, he always used to give the space out through turn 14 and 15 and then onto the main straight. So it was less time for him to be lost. Whereas Mick was always caught at turn 12. Right. So it was a good one.
Yeah.
And there's nothing much else to say apart from his teammate finishing a minute behind.
God.
I mean,
With
all
no
right,
spins.
fine. All right.
With no spins.
No. The reason why he finished, even before, he did do a pit stop and switched on to the softs, okay, at the end. As if that was going to make
so
any
he was
difference.
30 or 40 seconds behind.
No, he was 40 seconds behind.
It's still
He was
bad.
40 seconds behind, right? Yeah. And then you add the thing, plus you add the stoppages for Mick, which was a couple of seconds every lap. Yeah, essentially works out to about over a minute, right? Had Mick not been told to yield for the front runners, I think it would have been like a minute 30. Right, basically he would have lapped his own teammate because a lap round here is what 1 minute 20 seconds.
1:22, something like that.
Did you guys see when Mazepin almost took out Perez?
Yes.
And he got a 5-second penalty for that. Yeah.
Like,
And that lost Perez his lead essentially.
well,
right?
this is what I was gonna say. This is where I was leading to now. So that incident was massive for Perez, massive, because Lewis was hunting him down at that point.
Yeah. And then,
Like-
I mean, I remember it was 10 seconds and it went down to 6 seconds,
listen,
right?
man.
Literally within one corner, right? And the gap was like hovering around that 11 second mark. And then literally, because of Mazepin,
And he
boom,
locked up
6 seconds.
So picture this now. Perez is on a strategy. Picture this now. Where he's got to manage his tires. Where he's got to manage his tires.
Long.
He's managing, and he's keeping the gap for Lewis. And he's keeping the gap for Lewis. He's keeping the gap. He was keeping it for a long time. He was keeping it for a long time. Now he's got a fucking locked up in his corner. When he's trying to manage his tires and eke it up to the rest of the race. Like this would have been a completely different result.
Not only that, even if the result stayed the same, it could have been a stupid crash. It could have easily been a crash. It could have easily been a crash.
Yeah. I mean, he almost had his front wing off.
He almost took him out.
It was bad. It was.
He almost took him out.
Because he was on all tires, he was locking up. He could have slid anywhere at that moment.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Cool. Anyways, I think that covers it for this time round. Next weekend we've got Barcelona, Spain or Pain, where the S is silent, and let's see what happens. Let's see if Aston Martin have learnt their lesson, right, with this development.
Let's forward our little thing here over to Aston Martin. Maybe they can take some notes. And,
Well, they listened to us last time.
If you're listening,
let the races,
well, clearly they listened to us last time. Yeah, exactly. So if you're
Right.
listening,
Well, the
if
message
you're
this time is let racers do what racers do. Okay? If you belong in the kitchen, stay in the kitchen and off the track.
Greg laying down the law. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what
He's got a
happens.
Canadian,
and
he's got a
then,
Canadian flag on that car, for God's sakes. Like, leave the man alone.
It's like, you're embarrassing me. No. Right, you know. And so let's see if Aston Martin actually listened to their expert. Let's be honest, because that's why they brought him on, right? You know, it's like, yeah, listen to him, right? You know, and who knows what's gonna happen in Spain? It's Spain, so I guess the only things we can hope for is peaky downforce might be peaky.
Lando Norris
And
podium.
I think Red Bull are going to get 1-2. I'm saying it now.
Well, I would count.
Let's be honest. All right, that track is a chassis track. Okay, if Red Bull get a 1-2 there, you know the fight is on, right? Then all that bullshit that Toto Wolff usually says.
You know what? Next week we're gonna know what the hell's going on for real.
Yeah, because it is a track to test all cars.
Right. We'll know. That's right. We'll know.
You know, it is. We will find out not the pecking order, but a pecking order.
Know. Yeah, we'll know. No, you're right. Next week we'll know what the hell's going on. 100%.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be. I don't know, man. This is gonna be a good race.
Honestly, I'm drawing a blank. I
don't know who's gonna win.
No. I mean, all I know is if Mick Schumacher replicates what he did today, next week, at Spain,
it's gonna be a problem.
That's gonna turn some heads.
That's gonna be a problem.
That's gonna really raise some eyebrows, turn some heads, whatever you want to say. You know, Helmut Marko might even just go down there, drag him out that horse, put him into that Toro Rosso, because you know Helmut Marko loves hiring and firing. You know?
The only thing I don't know about next week. The only thing I don't know about next week is who's gonna win between Perez and Lando Norris.
Oh, Lando Norris.
Yeah.
You saying Bottas is not going to be anywhere near?
I don't think Bottas is going to. Barcelona tracks so well. There's not a lot of variables. So it's going to be the fastest car to win that race.
We should get a pecking order.
Or the best driver is going to win that race. And then we're really going to know who the best driver is. If Witness wins that race next week, bro.
If he wins it by the skin of his teeth,
then he's the undisputed.
Then it's driver, right? If he wins by 30 seconds, like Mercedes always do over there, then you know it's the bloody car, right? But because let's be honest, Mercedes have always won there by like 30 seconds or whatever. But yeah.
Top four.
Anyways, I'm gonna end this now. And yeah, see you all next week.